In the previous two lessons, we learned about the filling of Malchut Ein Sof through a series of 5 Partzufim called Galgalta ab Sagmabon. We said that there is the thought of creation, which is to do good to his creations, which is the roots of everything, and that's the Creator to us. Before that, there is something called Atzmuto, something, or his essence, which we cannot research, is the thought of creation. Light comes out, it's called Behina Shoresh, root phase, which builds the kli. And this kli wants to resemble the light and performs an action of resembling the light until it comes to a state where it wants to receive everything. The pleasure that comes from the Creator as well as his greatness, to enjoy both, because it feels the fulfillment in all its bchinot, in all its aspects. It's called Olam Ein Sof, the world of infinity, of no end, there are no limitations, which is a fulfillment called Daladit Lapshut and Daladit. It's the 4th degree of both clothing and the will to receive. So it performs a tzimtzum, a restriction, the light, it ejects the light, and now it is called Olam HaTzimtzum, the world of restriction, and that's called Tzimtzum Aleph, the first restriction, and it remains empty. After that, it comes to a situation where it decides to receive with the intention to bestow. This act is by nature pure giving in its nature. This happens through a force called the force of the masach, the screen, against the natural desire of the kli. And in this manner, the kli, the vessel, is called receiving in order to bestow, which is completely identical to bestowal, equals bestowal. So then, of course, if the kli does this in all its desire that appeared in Behina Daled, in Olam Ein Sof, in the world Ein Sof, this act will be called the Gmar Tikkun of the desire, the end of correction of the desire through the intention, through the masach, the screen, through the Or Chozer, the returning light. The Or Chozer, the returning light, is the intention that inverts reception into bestowal. Now the kli begins to examine itself. How is it possible to perform an act of bestowal in order to of reception in order to bestow? Because the kli is in a state of having reshimot, reminiscences of Daladit Lapshut and Daladit Yud, 4th degree of clothing and will to receive, the situation it had in the world in itself, meaning it's got impressions of both its great desire and its great fulfillment. So it begins to work on it, meaning it feels itself as consisting of 5 parts. Shoresh Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet, root 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 parts of aviyut, of the desire. And now it begins to try and fill itself up in every degree of Yud. But on the condition that it will be in order to bestow. In the end, it fills itself in Reshimot, through Reshimot, of Dalet Lapshut and Dalet of Yud. That gives us a partial filling. And then we have Dalet Gimel, 4 by 3, 3 by 2, Gimel Bet, Bet Aleph, 2 by 1, Aleph Shoresh, 1 by 0, 5 portions of filling in that Malchut Ein Sof that was entered in the Tzimtzum Aleph. These 5 portions are generally called Olam, world. A world is a state of the Kli, a state of being of the Kli, whereby the Masach, through the Masach, it realized all the Reshimot, the reminiscences that were in it, in receiving in order to bestow. It filled itself, as we say. Now we don't draw it like that, the Kli, but as a straight line. So it filled itself, part of itself. First of all, because it's got intentions, considerations, and calculations of how to perform an act in order to bestow. This part, where it does that, is called Rosh, mind, where it receives Or Yashar, direct light, feels it, first rejects it entirely, and then calculates how much can be received in order to bestow, receives that part within, that part that it doesn't receive remains outside. He's writing O Makif, surrounding light. The parts in it are called Rosh, or the mind or the head, Toch, the interior, Sof, the end. The place where the Masach stands is called Peh, mouth. The place up until the point where the Kli receives the light, stops receiving the light, is called Tabu, navel. The Masach that ends the Kli of Tzimtzum Aleph is called Siyum, or conclusion. Why am I saying this? Because in the future we'll have Kelim, desires without the Masach, without the ability to sustain Tzimtzum Aleph, and those will be below the Siyum, the conclusion. So Or Yashar, the direct light, equals O Pnimi, inner light, plus O Makif, surrounding light. So now the O Pnimi and the O Makif together pressure the Masach at the Tabu and force it to purify. So it purifies, yields Partzuf Ab, purifies once more, yielding Partzuf Sag. And purifying once more, producing Partzuf Ma, purifies once more, and produces Partzuf Bon. That's, in fact, these 5 Partzufim, Galgalta, that's Dalet Ab, Dalet Gimel, Sa Gimel Bet, Ma Bet Aleph, and Bon Aleph Shoresh. By that, they use up Malchut Ein Sof that works with the Masach for receiving in order to bestow. There are no more Masachim, intentions to bestow, there is no more strength to receive in order to bestow. And now Malchut Ein Sof filled itself partly. What does it mean partly? If we take Malchut Ein Sof, we might say that it filled itself in a part of itself. And Partzuf Shoresh in the part marked here will be Partzuf Galgalta. Partzuf Behina Shoresh is designated by Galgalta. The Partzuf that comes out of the Aleph part is called Ab. Partzuf that comes from Bet is Sad. Partzuf that comes from the Gimel part is Ma, and the Partzuf that comes out of the Dalet part is Bon. So that's all in all. That gives us a kli that received the filling, and here the remaining part is a kli that was not filled. All in all, in the general Malchut Ein Sof after the Tzimtzum. Which is the Sof of Galgalta. But that too we have to fill by way of receiving in order to bestow. So how is that done? Malchut Ein Sof, which received the entire light of Ein Sof in the state of Olam Ein Sof, and could perform its Tzimtzum on it, of ejecting, expelling itself from receiving, from enjoying, and can then decide to receive in order to bestow, meaning perform an act against itself. It had such great powers of reception and the sensation of the giver, so as to enable it to work against it. So that Malchut Ein Sof has now used it up. It received now additional forces. So here there's an act of the Partzuf of Saga, which is in fact the one that must now operate and not Malchut Ein Sof. Why? Because Partzuf Sag or Bina that wants to resemble the giver, the creator, once it feels the giver and wants to bestow, it builds in us, for us, the rest of the expansion. The creator gave the creature the will to receive. Through its appearance, his appearance in the creature, he gave the creature a will to bestow. These two desires come from the creator. And this will to bestow is the one that operates afterwards within the creature. If it hadn't been for Behina Bet, Behina Aleph would have remained filled with light as much as it was fulfilled, and that's it. But Behina Bet procreates Behina Gimel, because Behina Gimel is a result of it wanting to receive in order to bestow. And Behina Daled is only a direct result of Behina Bet, because it wants to enjoy what Behina Bet received from Behina Aleph and Behina Shoresh. This pleasure here that appears in Behina Bet, in Behina Bet this pleasure becomes bestowal. In Behina Daled it becomes reception. That's why Behina Bet is called upper Gvura, upper prevailing, so to speak, or overcoming. And Behina Daled is called the lower Gvura, the lower prevailing or overcoming. So, in the name Havaya, too, Behina Daled and Behina Behina Bet have the same mark in the letter Hey, because they're a result of the sensation of the giver. So Behina Bet, Bina, is the one who operates in the entire reality according to the example it's set in the 4 phases of direct light. So here in Olam Adam Kadmon, after the Kli realizes itself through the acts of Shoresh Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet, just as it has here in the Dalet B'china Doresha, Shoresh Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet, and after Shoresh and Aleph, B'china Bet comes out, which is called Partzuf Sag. Now Partzuf Sag begins to operate. It begins to work not on producing further Partzufim, Bet Aleph and Aleph Shoresh, Ma'in Bon. Its concern is once more for Malchut, which it gave birth to, this Sag or Partzuf Bina. And it wants to fill it with all the corrections, tikkunim, and bring it to Ma'atikun, to the end of correction, to receive in order to bestow. This is why, out of this drive of Sag to give, it performs a special act. Once Partzuf Galgalta expands, and then Partzuf Ab, now Partzuf Sag expands in us, comes out in us. I'm writing the parts of the Partzuf here. Each lower Partzuf expands from the Peh of the Elyon up to its double, and the Peh of the Tachton stands at the place of the Peh De of the Elyon. De Elyon means of the Elyon. De means of in Aramaic. Because Partzuf Sag is Partzuf Gimel Bet, 3 by 2, Partzuf Bina, it's got a desire to bestow. Similar to B'china Bet from the 4 B'chinot of Ol Yashar, direct light. Its property is the property of bestowal. And this is what prompts it to act toward that part of Malchut from Tabul to Siyum, which is still empty. We can divide Partzuf Galgalta into Sfirot. Normally, we divided it into Keter Chochma Bina in the Rosh, Chesed Gvura Tiferet in the Toch, and Netzach Chod Yesod Malchut in the Sof. Partzuf Sag, which expands through a Zivug Daka in its Opnimi, has Zivug Daka on Reshimot Dalet Gimel. What does it mean having Reshimot Zivug Daka on Reshimot Dalet Gimel? It's got Gimel Tehit Labshut too, so it's got some Or Chochma. That's why in the Opnimi, because there's Or Chochma, it cannot fill up that part of Malchut, that part of the Partzuf, from Tabul to Siyum. Because Or Chochma is forbidden to go below Tabul. There's no Masach for receiving Or Chochma in order to bestow. But once Partzuf Sag is purified, as usual, by the Bitush, the beating of Pnimi and Makif, the inner and the surrounding, and reaches Reshimot of Bet, Tait Labshut, and Ved of Yud, which is Bina, pure Bina, then this Partzuf can expand, of course, above Tabu, but also below Tabu, because it is a Partzuf which is entirely O Chasadim, light of mercy. So it expands this way. By expanding downward, it also fills the kelim, the vessels of Nehi, the Galgalta, in its light, the light of Chasadim, the light of mercy, with its light. It's light of Bet Deit Lapshut and Bet Deovyut. Chasadim. It's a light of bestowal, pleasure from bestowal. The sensation of bestowal fulfills the kelim of Nehi, the Galgalta, which are a will to receive. Here we have Dalet Deit Lapshut and Gimel Deovyut. After the Histaklut, the purification of Galgalta. Above Tabu and below Tabu, we have Dalet Deit Lapshut and Gimel Deovyut. Because the light of Chasadim fills Nehi de Galgalta, it induces a bonding of the two parts, Nehi de Galgalta, Netzachot Yisod de Galgalta, the coarse part, the Dalet Gimel. It connects because of the equivalence of lights that is now in them. The light of Chasadim, it comes from Bina, which expands in both Partzufim, brings them together. Why? Because the light that expands in the Kli suppresses the Kli. You don't see the Kli, you see the act of the light in it. So then, the part of Partzuf Galgalta, which is called Nehi de Galgalta, and the part of Partzuf Sag, only a part. Well, these parts join together and impart the avyut to one another. Dalet Gimel gives its avyut, its desire, to Bina, to Bet Bet. Meaning what? Here we have a masach of Behina Dalet. And here we have a masach of only Behina Bet. After the Histaklut, the purification of the masach. After the masach weakens, after Ab, and after Galgalta and after Ab. So then, Bina feels Dalet Deovyut, meaning it feels that it cannot provide Behina Dalet with a masach and the fulfillment that Behina Dalet wants. And for that reason, Bina restricts itself, meaning its act from Behina Shoresh to Behina Aleph in reception, and Behina Bet, where out of the reception now it wants to bestow. We know that Behina Bet consists of two Behinot, two aspects. It's got both a desire to bestow over here in its upper part, and in the lower part it decides how it can bestow. And then it realizes that if I receive, yes, in Behina Gimel, that reception will be as bestowal. That's the will to bestow in the upper part of Bet. In the lower part of Bet, there's already the intention to receive in order to give. And here in Zaranpin and Behina Gimel, there's the execution of the reception in order to bestow. So Behina Bet consists of two parts. A part that begins to want to bestow, and that's the upper part, and the lower part actually plans the act of bestowal de facto. The upper part of Bina is called Gar de Bina, upper 3 of Bina. The lower part of Bina is called Zad de Bina, the lower 7 of Bina. Where does that come from? Very simply, we learned that Zaranpin consists of 6 parts. It's got Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. 6 parts, which are also called Vav Ktsavot, 6 ends. And after that there's Malchut that receives. Before that we have Bina, which gives them. That's Behina Bet, which builds Zaranpin. And Malchut that stands after it. So all in all, in Bina we have a part that tends to the lower ones, which is called Vav plus 1. That's 7 Zat, 7 bottom 7. The bottom 7 of Bina, to which she will have to bestow. Now she plans how she can receive from above and pass it down to the bottom 7 that will be below her. 6 for Zaranpin and 1 for Malchut. Gal of Bina, the upper 3 of Bina, is Keter Chochma Bina, our Keter Chochma Bina, where in order to understand bestowal, Bina has to consist of Behina Shoresh, which is Keter, Behina Aleph, which is Chochma, and herself, or itself, Bina. And that's why they're called Gal, the first 3. So, Bina consists of the upper 3 and the bottom 7, a part that tends to Malchut. But for its own act toward Malchut, each and every part in spirituality that is about to tend to fill something, to perform any kind of mission or an act or an independent act, that part is divided into 10 sefirot. It might be tiny, a tiny part of a huge Partzuf, but if that part does anything specific, then in itself it divides into a whole act, meaning 10 sefirot. So that part of Zad de Bina is divided into 10 sefirot of its own. Keter Chochma Bina, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. Now in that part, I'll erase
Keter Chochma Bina,
Chochma Bina, as we've said, is made of kelim that don't belong to Bina. These are kelim that were made in it so that it would start working with itself. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet are kelim that we said in the previous lesson These are kelim within Zaranpin that still belong to the upper three, because Chesed is like Keter, Gvura is like Chokhmah, and Tiferet is like Bina, corresponds to Bina. Only from Zat de Tiferet, if we divide Tiferet as Zaranpin into as Bina into two parts, then Tiferet in itself will consist of 10 sfirot, its upper part belonging to Bina, and Galgalta Bina in the lower part to the Zad de Bina. So what we have here in Tiferet, the part that belongs to Bina, that's Galgalta Tiferet. Zad de Tiferet already belongs to the part of Zaranpin itself, below Bina. So these parts, Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, in and of themselves, and the Keter, Chokhmah, Bina in Ze'ir, which are called Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, these parts belong only to bestowal. He's writing bestowal. These we call Galgalta and Enayim. Enayim is eyes. The actual Keter, Chokhmah, Bina are called Galgalta. Galgalta comes from the word Gulgolet, skull. And Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet are called Enayim, eyes. The parts below the Gal, this is like Gal, all of it. The Gal in the Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, and the Gal within Zaranpin. Yes, it's the Gal de Zaranpin. So these parts are called Ozen, ear. That's Zad de Bina, that's a Chod Yesod, is Chotem, nose, and Malchut is the Peh, the mouth. All in all, we get the Achap, Ozen, Chotem, Peh. This is how we divide that part of the Partzuf of Bina that descended and mingled with Nehid de Galgalta. When the influence of Behina Dalet, that great desire, great of youths, when it reaches Bina, it influences only the Achap part, the part that is not for bestowal but for reception in the Partzuf. And this is that part isolates the influence on it. It adds to it the will to receive Dalet Delvut. So in that whole kli, the part of the Ozen, Chotem, Peh, or Nehim, the Bina, now it is governed by a great will to receive, which is Dalet Delvut. In general, we said that Bina has only Bet Delvut. Of the Masach on its desire. And so when a greater desire comes, in this entire part, we see that it is impossible to provide Malchut with its degree of Dalet, desire of Dalet. You can't provide it anything, any lights. Meaning what can be done is only to that part of Galgalta which is called, which corresponds to Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. So for that to have it controlled by Partzuf Bina. Because of that, that Partzuf of Bina, which is below is restricted in its act toward Malchut. It doesn't operate its parts, which is in the lower part of it. That Partzuf in itself is called Nekudot Desag. Nekudot are points. Nekudot Desag. Nekudot of Sag. Why Nekudot Desag? We said that the opening in the Partzuf, the inner light in the Partzuf that extends from the Rosh, from the mind and fills the Partzuf, is called Ta'amim, flavors. Ta'amim. And the Orot that exit the Partzuf are called Nekudot, points. Why? Because they manifest, they show or portray Malchut as a black point that can't receive anything. Here, Malchut purified, Malchut Desag, purified from Gimel Bet and came to a state of Bet Aleph, and as it became Bet Bet, this is called Partzuf Nekudot Desag, it expanded down and filled Nehida Galgalta. This is why in this Partzuf we have pure Bina on the one hand, bestowal, or the influence of Behina Shoresh on the other hand, and the Tzimtzum of the Partzuf Nekudot Desag or Partzuf Bina in its act with respect to Malchut. It's not that Bina is restricted, but a part in it that is intended to tend to Malchut, that is restricted. As we have said here, that part of Bina, which is meant to tend to Malchut, to the lower ones, is now restricted and understands that it cannot provide the lower ones, neither the masachim, the screens, or the corrections, or the lights. That's why this Tzimtzum restriction is called Tzimtzum Bet, the second restriction, where Malchut, which is being limited here, raises its limitation to where the kelim dashpa, the vessels of bestowal, end, and its ascent there is called Tzimtzum Bet, second restriction. Sorry, I wrote Tzimtzum Aleph. I meant Tzimtzum Bet, second restriction. So, what does that give us? Partzuf Galgalta, which is in fact, which designates the entire Malchut Ein Sof, after the Ab in it and the Sag in it, and Nekudot Desag in it, when Sag purifies, it comes down, and in the part that came down in it, which is, this is pure Bina, and that's Zad Bina, tending to Malchut, that part was restricted. Because of the influence of Daled Deovyut of Galgalta. So, if we speak with respect to Malchut Ein Sof, then the Shoresh gives to Aleph, Aleph becomes Bet, Bet 2 should create Gimel 3 and Daled 4, and Behina Daled influences Bina in such a way that it says, well, seemingly to Bina, don't bring your light down, I cannot receive it in order to bestow. There's a reaction of Malchut to Bina here, like a feedback. The connection between the lower and the upper. Now it is the first time that it is made. Malchut influences Bina. Or affects Bina. We said that Keter, Chokhmah, and Bina are the Elyonim, the upper ones. They're called Gar, the upper three, or the first three. From Zad the Bina, there begins their bestowal down to the creature. They are still considered the creator. Shoresh is the thought of creation. Behina Chokhmah, Behina Aleph, is the entire light and the kli that the creator wants to give to the creation. Bina is when he gives his attribute to the creature so that the creature would understand who he is and thus be able to complement itself and reach completeness. And from Bina onward, these are upshots, results of the actions of the creator toward the creatures. We see that the creature, which is Malchut, actually restricts the creator because he doesn't want, performs a restriction in the creator because it doesn't want to receive in order to receive, and cannot receive in order to bestow, so it restricts the act of the creator on it and says, I do not want it, and you don't do it. This is called Tzimtzum Bet, the second restriction. It's a very important act because it creates the connection between the creature and the creator, and positions the creature in the position of the giver, because even when it says do not give me, by that it gives, it expresses its desire to be like the upper one. And this act is, how should I put it, it's not quality. It's a point of, it's a crucial point in the evolution from up downward, because here it is the first time where there is a reaction of the creature to the actions of the creator. And from Tzimtzum Bet onward, we can already talk about actions that in the end will bring us to the creation of the real creature. Here we still don't see in these actions that Bina actually gives anything to Malchut, so that Malchut could be corrected. Malchut here below Tabu can only be impressed with the bestowal of Bina. But in the end, when it connects with Bina, what it gives to Bina is the Tzimtzum, or it affects the Tzimtzum on Bina. So what happens here is a very special unification between Malchut and Bina, where now they can operate reciprocally, mutually. Presently, Malchut influences the Tzimtzum Bet on Bina, affects it, but when Malchut is corrected, it'll compel Bina to give it back the lights that for the time being it refuses to receive. So there's an act here only from Malchut on Bina. It's the reaction of Malchut to Bina, but in the future it will produce many common acts of Bina and Malchut, to the point where Malchut here below the Tabu will be corrected by Bina, will receive corrections from Bina, and will fill itself up with lights in order to bestow, and then this entire system will be corrected, and the entire Malchut Ein Sof, or the creature, will reach Gmar Tikkun, the end of correction. The Partzuf, we said that it came down below Tabu, the general Tabu, in order to tend to Tabu below Malchut. So we called it Nekudot de Sag. And that Partzuf, when it came down, when it mixed with Malchut, it was impressed by Malchut, meaning after this act, what kind of reshimot, reminiscences, or recollections, what kind of data do we acquire? We acquire data from Partzuf Bina that came down below Tabu, which is in fact Bet Deit Lapshut, Aleph De'Aviut that are restricted in Tzimtzum Bet, plus the impression that we acquired from Malchut of Dalet Gimel. All in all, these are the reshimot, the data, the information that we have after this act of Bina over Malchut and Malchut over Bina. Reshimot, the restricted Reshimot Bet Aleph, tell us about Partzuf Bina that was restricted. Reshimot Dalet Gimel tell us about how was it restricted, the part of Malchut here. As usual, if you have a Reshimot, and these Reshimot still haven't materialized through actions on them, these Reshimot now demand, because of the desire that they're in, so the demand of the desire to realize them. So these Reshimot rise up to Peh of Rosh Desag, after everything that happened here below Tabu, and now they demand fulfillment. So what does Peh of Rosh Desag do over these Reshimot? Peh de Rosh Desag, Peh of Rosh of Sag, I'm drawing it here, I'm making it wide deliberately, detailed. It's got Reshimot Bet Aleph, restricted. So now it makes a zivug, a coupling on his Reshimot. What does it mean restricted? These Reshimot say, we don't want fulfillment for the entire Partzuf, we're forbidden. We have to receive fulfillment only up to the place where our kelim end, Keter Chochmah Bina, Chesed Gvura, and a part of Tiferet. That place where these kelim end is called Parsa, or like a cessation. We want to receive lights up to here, because up to here is a part of Malchut. Up to here, the part of Malchut and the part of Bina can be in some sort of reciprocal bestowal. It's like, it's small, it's like Gal, but it's still bestowal. So accordingly, Rosh Desag acts in such a way that it makes a zivug not on the Peh, its Peh. In Peh, zivug on Peh means filling all the kelim, but on a part of itself, so as to fill up only these kelim, the Galgalta and Einayim. In order to fill up kelim, the Galgalta and Einayim, you have to divide the Rosh as well into Galgalta and Einayim and a Chap. Keter Chochmah and the upper part of Bina. These are called Galgalta and Einayim. I'm sorry, Zad the Bina, the lower seven of Bina, are called Yachab. So, making a zivug only on Galgalta Einayim Dorosh, it makes a zivug only on Galgalta Einayim Dorosh, and the light of it, from that, it gives below the tabu. So then it fulfills only these kelim of Galgalta Einayim below. Kelim of the Galgalta Einayim in the Rosh. That's what it does. Rosh Tistag. Over the restricted Reshimot Bet Aleph. What we end up with in this Partzuf is called Partzuf Nekudim because it was adduced on Nekudot Desag. This Partzuf Nekudim is very special. It consists of a special structure. It consists of 3 parts called Keter, Chochma and Bina, and Zon, as usual, although it's small. But we've already said that even the smallest part, when it is born or performs an independent act, it's divided into 10 sfirot. There is no more or no less than 10. Chochma and Bina are called Abba ve'Ima in it. And so, what is the special thing about it? It's the structure. We've said that a Partzuf cannot be less than 10 sfirot. That is why its Keter also consists of 10 sfirot in Chochma and Bina and Zon. But in each and every sfirah we work, and in the 10 sfirot in general, only the parts that belong to Galgalta Einayim operate in it, because every sfirah is also divided into 10, but only Keter, Chochma, Bina, Chesed, Gvura, and half of Tiferet operate in it. And if we distinguish all these parts that operate in Keter from the parts that do not operate in Keter, then we discriminate it this way. Keter, well, it's like this. Keter, that's its Galgalta Einayim, and that's the Achab. That's the Keter. So only Galgalta Einayim operate. The Achab doesn't, or don't. And then we have Abba ve'Ima, which also operates, a part of it operate, the Galgalta Einayim, and the Achab don't. And then Zon. Only the Galgalta Einayim in it operate, and the Achab do not. This is what came out. It's a Partzuf, but here I divided it in order to show how special it is built, where the lower part of the upper Partzuf is in the upper part of the lower Partzuf. Why is it so important? From here, this creates the connection between the Partzufim, where the upper one is inside the lower one. And that connection, that structure, continues up to this world and down to us and within us too. There is a part of the upper Partzuf. If, for example, that's me, and I find within me, in my spiritual kli, I find the Galgalta Einayim and the Achab. So in my Achab, I can discover, actually in my Galgalta Einayim, I can discover the Achab of the upper one. It's very important, because then perhaps I can catch it and thus begin to ascend all the way to Ein Sof. What does it mean to Ein Sof? Back to the thought of creation, to do good to his creations, which is what the Creator wants us to come to. So now we see that Tzimtzum Bet, the connection between Bina and Malchut, is in fact the salvation of Malchut by slowly connecting to Bina, to the upper Partzufim, and thus gradually ascending from its own Galgalta to the Achab of the upper one, and then from in the Elyon, from its Achab to Galgalta, and then to the Achab of an even higher one, and from the Achab of the higher one to the Galgalta Enayim of the higher one, and then to an even higher Achab, etc., etc. So here we have degrees of ascent by which we can, by stepping on them, we can reach all the way to Ein Sof. This is why I drew these Partzufim as gradations. So we have the world of Nikodim. Olam Nikodim, in Katnut, Bina is restricted. Katnut is smallness. So now there's a special zivug that comes out on Rishimot Dalet Gimel. What are Dalet Gimel? These Dalet Gimel are Rishimot from Galgalta, which say we want to receive in order to bestow with the entire Avyut in us, Dalet Dovyut. Bring it to us. So, in Sag, there comes a zivug on Dalet Gimel. This zivug is made on the entire Partzuf Sag, on its peh. And from this zivug expands light to Keter, from Keter to Abba Ve'ima, from Abba Ve'ima to Zon. It travels through Galgalta and the Zon to the Parsa and to Achab the Zon. When the light reaches the place where the Parsa begins, the Kelim begin to break. Meaning what? Here there begins to be a loss of the Masach. That's called, that's the breaking. It's the breaking of the vessels. Shvirat HaKelim in Hebrew. But why? On the one hand, we have Tzimtzum Bet in this place. It means that here there is not enough power to receive in order to bestow. On the other hand, the Rishimot Dalet Gimel demand of Bina with certainty. They know that Bina can provide these powers of the Masach to Malchut, because if it hadn't been the case, the thought of creation would not have been the principle, would not be that all the desires of Malchut would at one time have to receive in order to bestow. So there is certainly a desire in Bina to give Malchut all the powers and fill it with all the lights. It comes from the thought of creation. The thought of creation, yes, is, well, the end of the act is in the preliminary thought. In other words, there will be such an end where you will receive these kelim of Malchut you will receive the powers in Masach and be able to receive in order to bestow. Now, when Bina expands in the new Zivug and receives the lights, these great lights of Dalet Gimel, it receives them from the world Ein Sof through Galgalta, through Ab, and then of course it feels that it can and must bring these lights down to Malchut. But there is we still don't have the condition of Malchut being able to receive in order to bestow. The reason is that it still hadn't mixed enough, mingled enough with Bina. Here, at the end of Galgalta, we have Malchut, which is only restricted in Tzimtzum Aleph. It has like a mere desire to receive in order to bestow, but is unable. So here we have Bina, which gave to Malchut, which gave to Malchut only the awakening to be like the giver. And Bina was restricted in Tzimtzum Bet. Meaning, in Bina there remains a small part that gives, and in Malchut its larger part is, for reception, is restricted with a desire to at one time realize itself with the desire to receive in order to bestow. So here Bina opens itself up and gives as much as it can forces of Masach and lights of fulfillment. The problem is that below Palsa, the powers of the Masach still can't go through. What happens here? When Bina gives to Malchut, it gives in two actions. The first is called Or Absag, the light of Absag, which gives the Masach to the lower one. The second act is called the light of fulfillment, which brings the Opnimi, the inner light, to the Tachton, to the lower one. The problem is that this act, the light of Absag, that had to bring the Masach to the lower one in the first act, such an act never existed before. And for this reason, the Partzuf still didn't have the discernment by which to know if that light was operating on it in all its parts. Because you can always check what happens after you have experience, actual experience. Of course, there's a desire to receive in order to bestow in all the kelim, but they don't actually know if that desire exists in potential or not. Desire to receive in order to bestow. So, because the Palsa hides these kelim of Zad Bina, it seemingly can't be tested. You can't know for sure. There is a sensation that it is possible because there's a desire in Malchut, in Bina, and in the common Partzuf, in the Zivug, in the Rosh Tesagis, for receiving in order to bestow. And this is why these kelim below the Palsa did not know in advance that they were unable to receive in order to bestow. Their intention was only to bestow, but de facto it did not work out, and this is why they lost the Masach. Meaning the breaking of the vessels means that the Masach, the intention, becomes in order to bestow to in order to receive, is turned, is inverted.
זאת אומרת, יש לנו
So we have
כלים מיוחדים
special kelim,
שהם כתר
which are
אבא ואמא,
keter, abba ve'ima,
גר,
gal, the first three,
ראש,
rosh,
שגרמו
which
לכלים
caused the
שנקראים זת,
kelim called zat, the lower seven, and the bottom seven.
שבירה,
They caused them to break,
עיבוד המסך.
to lose the masach.
ועכשיו הנברא בעצם, זת
Now
הנברא,
the creature,
Gal
zat is the creature,
תכונות הבורא.
and the gal, the
הנברא
upper
נשבר.
three is the attribute of the creator. So now the creature breaks, it loses the masach. And
הנברא הוא
what does it mean to lose the masach? The creature wants
לקבל
to receive
לעצמו,
for itself.
שלא היה לו זה אף פעם.
That never existed before,
4 בחינות באור ישר,
because in the 4 phases of direct
בין
lights,
בחינה א' בלבד,
it received only in Bchina Aleph,
וזה היה על ידי הבורא.
and that was done by the Creator.
בחינה ד' שרצה
And
לקבל,
when it wanted to receive in Bchina Daled, when it finally received,
מיד הרגיש בושה
it
והצטמצם.
immediately felt shame and was restricted.
לא חשב לפני שמקבל
It
בחינה
didn't
ד'
think
שהוא
prior to receiving in Bchina Daled that it does want to receive and enjoy,
ירחיק אותו מהבורא.
and that it will distance it from
מה
the Creator.
כאן, יש
But
כבר
here
נתונים
we already have
על זה שכן,
information about the creature that the creature will be separated from the Creator, opposite from him, that there's a complete oppositeness. I'm writing the sign delta. It's a sign for a difference,
לא חשוב
distance
לנראה
between
שיש
parts.
הפרש בינו
So the
לבין
creature
הבורא,
doesn't mind that there's an oppositeness,
רוצה
an antipodal difference between the Creator and the creature. Now it wants to receive for itself, and that alone is all that's in it,
בכל הכלים שלו.
in all its kelim.
אבל יחד עם זה,
But at the same time,
יש לנו
we have
תוצאה מאוד מאוד
a
יפה
very,
מכאן.
a beautiful results
בכל הכלים
from
האלו,
that.
בכל הכלים האלו,
Where in all these kelim,
בינה ומלכות
Bina and Malchut
התחברו יחד,
have now joined together,
כך שאי אפשר לחלק ביניהם.
so that they have now become inseparable.
מתוך שמסך נעלם,
Because the Masach disappears, the intention to bestow vanished.
יוצא לנו שגם בינה
What happens
וגם
is
מלכות,
that
הכל
both
מה
Bina
שיש
and Malchut, everything
כולם
in there,
בכוונה אחת, כולם בכיוון
all of it
אחד.
has the same intention, same direction, to
וזה מה
enjoy.
שמערבב,
And that's what mixes the kelim,
מקרב אותם,
brings them
מייחד
together,
אותם,
unites them,
מדביק אותם זה לזה,
attaches them to one another,
וזה התוצאה הטובה מאוד.
and that's a very good result.
אנחנו תמיד
Because
חשבנו איך מלכות
we always thought,
תחבר עם בינה,
how are we going to connect Malchut to
איך
Bina?
מלכות תקבל כוחות
How would Malchut
התורה מבינה,
acquire
טבע מהבינה.
the powers, the forces to bestow from Bina, the nature of Bina? What happens here is that Bina came down to Malchut,
יחד עם זה שאיבדו מסך, התחברו,
while losing the Masach they also joined together, so now they are joined, Malchut and Bina. It's a bad joining, combination, it's in order to receive. It's a combination in which even the intentions are in order to receive, meaning the attitude to the Creator is also an attitude of exploitation.
לא לקבל תענוגים.
I don't want to receive the pleasures that come from the Creator. I want to enjoy the fact that the Creator serves me. That's the actual reception for self. Malchut, that Malchut Ein Sof that enjoyed receiving
מתנה, מה שיש לה
the
בבחינה.
gift that it received in Bchina Aleph,
זה שהיא מרגישה שהבורא נותן לה את המתנה.
and the fact that it felt that the Creator was given the present in Behina Bet, and how it felt what action it was doing on it by performing the same act in Behina Gimel. When it wanted to enjoy all that in Behina Dalet, it was only the manifestation of the act itself for the first time. That's why there's no prohibition there, because prohibition means that you understand the reasons and you break them again. So here, the intention itself, specifically that, breaks, and it becomes in order to receive. So now the creature wants the Creator to be its servant, give it, tend to it, please it. To summarize, let's see what we've been through thus far in our expansion. From the thought of creation, we went through the Dalet B'chinot Dor Yashar, the 4 phases of direct light. B'chinat Shoresh, root, Aleph, 1, Bet, 2, Gimel, 3, Dalet, 4. I normally draw them in detail because they are the pattern, the mold that for everything that will happen afterwards. B'chinat Dalet, we call it Malchut Ein Sof, Malchut is the infinite, and afterwards it performs the Tzimtzum. Aleph, the first restriction, the Olam Tzimtzum, the world of restriction. Afterwards, it works with a masach, with a screen, producing Olam Adam Kadmon, the world Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is the primordial man. The creation of the masach and the 5 Partzufim of Adam Kadmon, by which Malchut Ein Sof of Ein Sof feels itself, but only in the upper part, up to the tabu. After that, Malchut Ein Sof, that same Malchut Ein Sof, heaven filled itself up to the tabu. That's called Olam Adam Kadmon. Now it breaks below tabu, breaches below tabu, and below tabu it sanctifies, purifies a part of Malchut that is below tabu with the attributes of Bina. He's writing Bina. And in the other part, this is called the Parsa. He's writing Parsa. In the remaining section, it breaks it, or performs the breaking. So what do we see from here? Through the 5 Partzufim of Ak, we have a feeling here. Through Bina that came below Tabu, we also have the feeling of Tabu below the Pasa, up to the Pasa, sorry. between Tabo and Pasa. We only need to fulfill the part of the broken vessels. But because they are broken, we have a connection between Malchut and Behina. So if we now induce through some actions, if we now make Behina correct itself and then correct Malchut with its attributes with the intention to bestow, then we will be able to reach a state of fulfillment of the remaining part of Malchut. This will bring us to the end of correction, Maltikun, where the entire Malchut Ein Sof will be in order to bestow, will work in order to bestow. Therefore, all that the Kabbalists teach us from the breaking of the vessels onward is called Olam HaTikun, the world of correction. From here on, in this part, when we correct this part, we have to correct it and we have to fill it. And then we come to realize the thought of creation. That's it.